We have more information in today's world than at any other time in human history. Yet strangely, many people feel more disconnected, more anxious, and more out of balance than ever before. Which raises a deeper question. Did ancient cultures understand something about life that we are only beginning to rediscover today? And that is exactly what we are going to explore in today's episode.
We're going beyond horizons, where the mind and spirit meet, where the body finds its balance and the soul feels complete. Every story, every journey, every healing step we take, we're living life with purpose, with every breath we make. Beyond horizons, we rise.
Welcome to the Beyond Horizyns podcast. I'm your host, CJ Sugita-Jackson. I'm a certified nutritionist, master herbalist, tea master, and hold a doctorate in the philosophies of world religions. This podcast is a space for thoughtful conversations exploring holistic wellness, metaphysical insight, ancient wisdom, and conscious living. Together, we'll explore ideas, teachings, and conversations with people who are working to bring balance and deeper awareness back into our lives and communities. What exactly is Horizyns all about? Ancient cultures understood that health, wisdom, community, and spirit were all part of the same living system. That idea is exactly what inspired the creation of Horizyns. Horizyns is designed as a platform where knowledge can come back together again, where educators, practitioners, vendors, and curious minds can share insights across many different fields of learning. Instead of separating ideas into rigid boxes, Horizyns explores how different perspectives connect and inform one another. You might discover discussions or products on wellness, philosophy, culture, science, metaphysics, or personal development, all existing within the same ecosystem of learning. Because the truth is understanding life fully requires more than just one lens. It requires curiosity, conversation, and the willingness to explore beyond the boundaries we've been taught. And that is exactly what we aim to do here, both on this podcast and across the Horizyns platform. Together, we're exploring ideas that help us reconnect ancient insight with the challenges of the modern world. Earlier in the episode, we asked an important question. Did ancient cultures understand something about life that we are only beginning to rediscover today? To explore that idea, it helps to step back for a moment and look at how earlier civilizations approached the question of health, balance, and the human experience. When we look across many adjacent cultures around the world, something remarkable becomes clear. People studied life deeply. Not just casually and not just through short-term experiments, but through careful observation that stretched across generations. Knowledge was not something developed overnight. It evolved slowly as people paid attention to the patterns of nature, the rhythms of the human body, and the relationships between the environment, the mind, and the spirit. In other words, wisdom was accumulated through lived experience. One of the clearest examples of this can be found in traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM. Traditional Chinese medicine developed over thousands of years, and it was built on a simple but profound observation. The human body is not separated from nature. Instead, the body exists within a larger system of energy, cycles, and relationships. Practitioners observed patterns in health and illness, and they developed frameworks for understanding how balance in the body could be maintained. Concepts like yin and yang describe the dynamic balance between opposing forces in life. Herbal medicine, acupuncture, food therapy, and movement practices like Tai Chi were all developed as ways to restore harmony when that balance was disrupted. What is especially interesting about this approach is that the goal was not simply to eliminate symptoms. The goal was to restore balance. Health was seen as a state of harmony between different systems within the body and between the body and the world around it. And we see a very similar perspective in the ancient Indian system of Ayurveda. Ayurveda, which translates roughly as the science of life, developed its own sophisticated understanding of human health and well-being. In Ayurveda, every single individual is believed to have a unique constitution known as a dosha. Wellness comes from living in a way that supports the natural balance of that constitution. Diet, daily routines, herbs, seasonal rhythms, and lifestyle choices were all carefully considered as part of maintaining harmony within the body. Again, the focus was not just on treating illness after it appeared. The focus was on cultivating balance so that the illness might be prevented in the first place. But these insights were not limited to large civilizations like China or India. Indigenous cultures around the world also developed deep and sophisticated knowledge about life, health, and the environment. In many indigenous traditions, plants were understood as resources and as teachers and allies. Herbal knowledge was passed down through generations of healers who spent their lives observing how plants interacted with the human body and the surrounding ecosystem. These traditions recognize something that modern science is increasingly rediscovering today. Human beings are part of a larger ecological system. Our health is deeply connected to the health of the environment around us. And this deep study of life wasn't limited to medicine or herbal knowledge. It also appeared in philosophical traditions. Take Taoism, for example. Taoist philosophy teaches that life flows through a natural pattern, a kind of underlying harmony that connects all things. When human beings align themselves with that flow, life becomes more balanced and peaceful. But when we resist that flow, stress and disharmony appear. Similarly, Stoic philosophers in ancient Greece taught that inner peace comes from understanding the difference between what we can control and what we cannot. They believed that wisdom came from aligning our thoughts and actions with the deeper structure of reality. Across these traditions, from China to India to Greece to indigenous cultures around the world, a powerful pattern begins to emerge. Ancient wisdom traditions were not simply collections of ideas. They were systems of living, truly living life. Systems designed to help people live in balance with themselves, with their communities, and with the natural world. And this brings us to an interesting contrast with modern life, because today, many people feel that life has become fragmented. Modern life moves incredibly fast. We live in an age of constant information. Our phones connect us to news, social media, work messages, and endless streams of content every hour of the day. And while this technology has brought many benefits, it has also introduced a new kind of pressure into everyday life. Many people feel overwhelmed by information. We have access to thousands of opinions about nutrition, health, productivity, spirituality, politics, and self-improvement. Yet despite having more information than ever before, many people feel less certain about what actually leads to a balanced life. And alongside this information overload, many people are experiencing something else that has become increasingly common in the modern world: burnout. Burnout is more than just exhaustion. It is a deeper sense that the peace and pace and structure of modern life have become unsustainable. People feel stretched between responsibilities, expectations, and constant stimulation. And somewhere along the way, the slower rhythms that once supported human life have begun to disappear. Many people feel disconnected from nature, disconnected from their communities, and sometimes even disconnected from themselves. When we compare this experience with ancient wisdom traditions, an important difference becomes visible. Ancient cultures did not organize life primarily around productivity. They organized life around balance, balance between activity and rest, balance between work and reflection, balance between the physical body and the inner life of the mind and spirit. Meals were often prepared and eaten slowly. Daily routines were aligned with natural cycles like sunrise, sunset, and the changing seasons. Spiritual practices and community gatherings were built into the rhythm of everyday life. These practices helped create a sense of stability and connection. And today, many people are beginning to rediscover the value of those ideas. Practices like meditation, herbal wellness, mindful eating, and slow living are becoming more popular again. People are beginning to explore traditions that emphasize presence, balance, and intentional living. And what's interesting is that many of these practices are not new at all. They are simply ancient wisdom being remembered. The goal of rediscovering these traditions is not to romanticize the past. Every era has its challenges, but ancient wisdom traditions offer something incredibly valuable for modern life: perspective. They remind us that health is not only physical, it also includes emotional balance, mental clarity, spiritual awareness, and meaningful connection with the people and environments around us. When we look across centuries of human experience, a powerful idea begins to emerge. Human beings thrive when life is lived in balance. And perhaps the most interesting thing about this realization is that it suggests the future of wellness may not lie in discovering new solutions, but also in rediscovering wisdom that humanity has been cultivating for thousands of years. One of the things that fascinates me about many ancient traditions is how wisdom was often practiced through very simple, everyday rituals. Something as ordinary as preparing tea, sharing a meal, or working with herbs from the garden could become a moment of reflection, nourishment, and connection. These small practices reminded people to slow down, to pay attention, and to restore balance in the middle of daily life. In many ways, those simple rituals are exactly the kinds of traditions we're beginning to rediscover today. And that idea of reconnecting with ancient wisdom through mindful nourishment is actually what inspired the sponsor of today's episode. In many ancient cultures, tea was never just a beverage. It was a practice of slowing down and bringing attention back to the present moment. In traditional tea ceremonies, the simple act of preparing tea, heating water, measuring leaves, pouring the infusion becomes a quiet reminder to pause and breathe. Even taking just a few minutes each day to prepare tea mindfully can become a small ritual of balance in the middle of a busy life. This Tea for Peace ritual moment is brought to you by Tea for Peace Tranquility Lounge, devoted to ancient wisdom, mindful nourishment, and holistic beverage rituals that support body, mind, and spirit. If there's one idea to take away from today's episode, it's this. Many of the answers we are searching for today may already exist in the wisdom traditions of the past. Our challenge today is not to just learn those ideas intellectually, but to bring them back into our daily lives. To eat more consciously, to slow down, to reconnect with nature, to build supportive communities, and to remember that health and wisdom are not just individual journeys. They are shared experiences with the communities around you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the Beyond Horizyns podcast so you don't miss future conversations, and join our Horizyns community at www.horizyns.com, where you can meet like-minded individuals, find amazing products, and take workshops from our many curated vendors. Each week, we'll explore new ideas, traditions, and perspectives that can help us live more balanced, meaningful lives. So check out our podcast every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Thank you for being here at the beginning of this journey, and until next time, keep exploring what lies beyond the horizon.
We're going beyond horizons, where the mind and spirit meet, where the body finds its balance and the soul feels complete. Every story, every journey